Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be Khorne led by the Puffin, facing off against the Warriors of Chaos, who are going to be helmed by a House Cat of War here on the Glade of the Ever Queen. Now, as far as the build for Khorne goes, and for both sides essentially, looks like it's going to be a big old monster fight. So we do have the Bloodroot Behemoth over here, which is a very, very good anti-large duelist. Has almost 90 melee attack, almost 600 weapon strength, does heal in combat as well. So if it's going to be grinding against other single entities, it's going to be healing, it's going to be hitting like a truck, and I believe its anti-large bonus is quite substantial at 30 as well. But you pay a premium for this thing. If I'm not mistaken, it costs close to 23, 24, 2,500 gold. It is no joke. Now we got Valkia as well. Valkia, a very good hunter character, and even though she does have anti-large, she still has high enough melee attack that she can go after a character like Festus and put some hurt on him, or she can be used to assist going after large targets, trolls, all sorts of neat stuff like that. So on the ground, it's going to be Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons. In the bushes, it looks like it's going to be Chaos Warriors of Khorne with the shields and some with dual weapons as well. So shielded Khorne Warriors aren't bad. Pretty much all the marked Chaos Warriors are very slightly overpriced. There's some variants that, of course, are fine, like Hell Scourges of Slaanesh, but overall, these guys probably could use a little bit of a cost reduction, but I mean, they're not bad. They hit hard, they're shielded, they're pretty durable, and, they can collect some skulls for the Skull Throne for sure. Dual Weapon Warriors in the back, and that looks to be the entire build with Valkia. No caster, of course, for Khorne. Now, for the Great House Cat of War, he's going to be rocking Marauder Horsemasters and Basic Horsemen as well, looking to take advantage of the fact that Khorne doesn't have the best range tools outside of skull cannons, and their own horsemen have throwing axes, so they're not going to be able to really trade with javelins and things like that. On the back heel here for Ye Old Warriors of Chaos, we do have Festus the Leech Lord, who's going to be using Stream of Corruption and Miasma. When you see that spell kit, it usually means that there's going to be a spamming of the Children of Nurgle passive. So every time he casts a spell, it's going to be healing the entire army for 1% of its HP, which can be nice. Granted, sometimes if you do go with a big single entity, it's a little bit better to bring Fleshy Abundance, I would say, but we'll have to see how this works out for House Cat. Halberds and Great Weapons in the back. And on the other side, it looks like it's going to be some Chaos Warriors with Great Weapons as well, which should trade up into the Shielded Khorne Warriors for sure. So the battle is on. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding while the two players posture back and forth here. Valkia going to be flying about, maybe looking for a slap near target. She could also just land and be disruptive, which looks like that's going to be the case. So she does land there on the horseman, while the other horsemen of Khorne pop out of the bushes here and pretty much getting out skirmished by these javelins. Throwing axes again do pretty good against armored targets and big targets, but against other mobile skirmishers, they're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage. Although it looks like the Khornate Cavalry is trying to close the distance. They got their dual-handed weapons out, and they are close enough that their throwing weapons are making contact, so not bad. And if they do get into combat, they'll obviously win pretty decisively against basic Marauder Horsemen. These bad boys do rock weapon strength in the 40s, which is rad. Double Cultists of Khorne, it looks like they are in the trees, and these things are amazing. Cultists of Khorne are really, really solid, just great fighters. And on top of that, they can summon Bloodletters, which, one of the big weaknesses of Bloodletters is the approach. When they're approaching, you see them, you can use magic, you can nail them with missiles, but these guys can summon them right on the top of your infantry units, at which point Bloodletters actually become pretty cost-effective, right? So it looks like the Warriors of Chaos might be doing a little bit of split pushing here. We do see it looks like maybe a little bit of slight pressure on the side with the Severed Claw. No, it looks like maybe they're going all in on Objective 1. So they're going to be pushing that. And it's a pretty common tactic. I like to call it lane pushing, where he pushes Objective 1. His opponent's going to react by pulling assets off of Objective 3 to come help. And then he can then push this objective with like some Chaos Armor Trolls, things like that. So here comes the Muty Beast. Muty Beast, probably Valkia is going to be dueling it, going after it, and the Bloodroot Behemoth is a very good answer against the Mutalith Beast. The Mutalith Beast itself is a good anti-large fighter, but the Bloodroot is a little bit stronger and just straight up fighting. I mean, the stat difference is big, 81 compared to 66. Weapon strength is like 100 higher. The Mutalith Beast, of course, is way better because of its Mortis engine as an overall unit, but in an anti-large dueling niche situation, we do see the Muty Beast getting a little bit crunk back here. Better watch out. Trapped in enemy territory. And it looks like there are going to be some Marauder Horsemen of Khorne also putting a little bit of hurt on that beast right there. So Marauder Horsemen skirmishing. We do see the two cultists arriving into combat against Chaos Warriors. And on the far side objective, it's going to be a single Chaos Warrior, a shielded variant holding that one down. Up in the front, the Marauders of Khorne have engaged, but they've been debuffed by the Miasma Pestilence, triggering the Children of Nurgle lore passive. And some Bloodletters actually were called out from reserve. So Bloodletters certainly not going to be enjoying eating these missiles, but if they do get in sustained combat versus Great Weapons, they'll uptrade super, super hard. It's going to be an incredibly cost-effective fight for them. So the Bloodletters dueling their Chaos buddies here, and this is very lore accurate as well. Chaos is pretty much always fighting amongst one another. Now this is a big, big problem here, though. The Mutalith Beast getting bullied, and healing elixirs are active from Festus, but this is one of the issues with not bringing a spell like Fleshy Abundance, for example, which would be able to heal this thing a couple thousand HP, maybe save it, but now it's going to pay the Troll Toll, and that is a huge pick for our Khornate champion here early. as the Mutalith Beast is going to be running for the hills. Valkia chasing it down, and the Bloodbrute probably going to be beelining after Festus the Leech Lord. Festus going to be switching to the Harbinger of Pestilence, getting the Mortis Engine. Chaos Knights of Tzeentch coming out. Love to see it. Incredibly cool, but against the big Bloodbrute Behemoth, those things are not going to be having an excellent time. So Chaos Knights bouncing out, trying to get away from the big man, and now screening out some of these Marauder Horsemen if they can. But these Marauder Horsemen are finally in their element. They, of course, are the throwing axe variant, so they're going to be able to kite these Chaos Knights and do some decent throwing axe damage, depending on the micro. But it looks like a bit of a micro slip. Chaos Knights able to catch up to them and should start getting some good damage now. Khorne holding the side objective comfortably. Warriors of Chaos still pressing objective 1 pretty well. Granted, Khorne is now getting some sustained combat units up. The Marauders with dual weapons, of course, pretty good if they can actually get into combat without taking too many issues. Stream of Corruption going down on the Bloodletters. Magic damage. They do have a little bit of spell resist, of course. I believe it's 25%. I think they could use a little bit more, but even still, they are going to be enduring that as the Horsemen do some battle in the back. It looks like House Cat of War going to be pulling his Chaos Horsemen and chasing the tattered remnants of the Marauder Horsemen of Khorne off. But the capture weight's starting to flip a little bit. Valkia the Bloody has now gotten into combat. The Cultists are nearby. Severed Claw, I believe, was brought in. Are those Severed Claw or those Chaos Warrior Halberds? Looks like they're Chaos Warrior Halberds. And the Bloodbrute Behemoth is getting a very cost-effective fight onto the Chaos Knights of Tzeentch. Xantha, large bonus in his armor piercing, certainly doing well. Now, looking at the value, we do see a big value lead for Khorne, 6,000 to about 4.4. There has been a little bit of healing with Festus, but overall, I would say there is a true value lead for the forces of Khorne right now. Hell, real craziness on the side objective here. It looks like the Chaos Warriors just kind of holding it down. And this is a very unusual build in some ways for Khorne. The Bloodbrute Behemoth is obviously very off meta, but normally Khorne builds are more reliant on the Minotaurs. But he came in with a very heavy infantry build and then was backed up by this big SE monster, which so far has been doing good. And remember, while this thing's fighting in melee combat, it's going to be healing, so it's in its natural habitat. I would wager Khorne will probably call some Fleshhounds out right here. I think that'd be a very strong play to reinforce the Bloodbrute Behemoth, really turn the tide of the fight, make sure it's not fully surrounded. But it looks like Housecat is kind of doing a good job clawing his way back here, dragging down the Bloodbrute Behemoth a little bit with his Javelin play. Chaos Knight's on the run, though. Chaos Knight's really not having that great of a time right now. Only 500 value so far. Now back towards Objective 1. Looks like Khorne might be able to wrestle this one back. The Cultists still fighting with the Marauders, but it looks like they were finally broken. But now we're going to be seeing the big power plays. The Severed Claw obviously in a pretty good position previous to this. Now that the Bloodletters are going to be emerging from the warp eventually. Oh, they went the wrong way. I was like, are they just deciding not to come? The least violent Bloodletters in all of Warhammer Fantasy. They will put some massive hurt on Severed Claw on these Chaos Warriors. And this is what I was talking about as well. Festus is a little bit vulnerable to being hunted. Anytime I use Festus against a faction that has characters capable of hunting him, I always recommend bringing the Exalted Heroes of Nurgle to bodyguard him. Look at that, he just threw his little bobble at her. But yeah, Valkia is going to just beat the brakes off Festus in combat. Way, way better fighter. 100 armor is the big difference maker. And overall, she seems to be doing pretty good. So as we said, Fleshhound's called out against Chaos Knights, but the Chaos Knights going to win that fight. The Bloodbrute Behemoth I thought would still be there, but Khorne going to be calling out more Bloodletters from the back. It's going to be moving those bad boys up, while the Severed Claw getting worn down here. And yeah, they're going to start losing models now, and that is going to be a pretty substantial DPS decrease for them. Looks like the back objective still owned by the Warriors of Chaos. I'm not sure how. Severed Claw does, of course, have 5 capture weight. Oh, this is a summon unit. That's right. These Bloodletters, so that's going to be explaining that. And Severed Claw down to 10 models of their 16, HP really, really diminishing, and there's not going to be any sort of like a fleshy abundance to really top them off, unfortunately. So the Bloodbrute's back in business, baby. Still hanging in there, 3,800 HP, 1,600 value so far, approaching his healing cap. But Housecat has been doing a pretty good job with these Javelins, poking that big man down. On the side objective, the Chaos Warriors are being pushed by Marauders with Great Weapons. A very cost-effective trade for Housecat of War, especially with Old Festus coming in. The healing elixir is going to be helping those bad boys out. Now, of course, the Chaos Warrior of Khorne would win in a vacuum, but with Festus here and contributing in combat, the poison being applied, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it probably will change the nature of that fight. But old Bloodletters pretty good against most infantry units. Honestly, there isn't really an infantry unit Bloodletters don't like fighting. I mean, maybe like a magic damage, high DPS unit they would not enjoy fighting, but overall, they're pretty happy to get in combat and go fisticuffs with the best of them. Looks like Khorne's going to find a way to get the back objective. They do have their Marauders. The Cult is still fighting here with good fighting power. And Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons, you know, I've gone back and forth on them a little bit. I didn't like them, but I've been seeing a couple players, like high-level players, including this match, and as well as Berserker as well, making them look very, very good. Yeah, they're squishy, but they're, you know, the best offense is a good offense, as they say, right? So these Marauders of Khorne can certainly chew through things. Their bonus versus infantry isn't super substantial. I think it's like 5, but yeah, 44 melee attack isn't bad. Now, looking at the side point, it's still being held by Khorne. No, it's actually flipped. Looks like the old Khornate champions did lose the objective. Housecat of War, of course, very fundamentally sound player here. Marauder's going to be kind of trying to screen that one. More Horsemen being called out, and the Horsemen will be good at kind of poking. Housecat does have a value lead right now. Not value lead, excuse me, a points lead, but it's not super substantial. And honestly, there's been a ton of healing on the table here for Khorne as well. Valkia going to be trying to hunt down Festus, and that's going to be pretty big. If Festus does go down here, I think that's going to be the big turning of the tide, and I think Khorne will start to take this game over. That's going to be getting rid of a Mortis Engine, AoE heals. He's at 500 HP. Valkia the Bloody looking for a very stinky skull for Khorne. I'm sure Khorne is down. You know, prizes from the other Chaos Gods are always welcome. Festus being escorted by the Bloodroot Behemoth, but Housecat does have some nice counterplay here. He's got a lot of Marauder Horsemen, 3 full powered one, yeah. That's going to be able to do some work. Valkia, on the other hand, should chase. She's shielded and also heavily armored, so she can go after Festus and just make sure he gets taken off the battlefield. Bloodletters here, cleaning up the Marauders, no problem. Meanwhile, the dual weapon warriors are on their way in, but intercepted by a couple tattered Chaos Knights of Tzeentch. And Chaos Knights of Tzeentch are actually pretty good against Khorne. I really like that pick from Housecat. They, of course, didn't have the best time fighting Bloodroot this game, but they crush Fleshhounds. They do really well against Bloodletters because of their magic damage, if you're able to rear charge them. And overall, I think Chaos Knights in this matchup aren't bad. But yeah, looks like the Bloodroot might go down here. It's at about 500 HP. Javelin's coming in from Housecat. Really good micro, and he is able to drag the beast down. So Khorne, do they have the objective? They did not quite get that, and it looks like this point is going to be owned by Khorne as well. And it looks like we have a little bit of a game on our hands, although Festus did come back. His healing elixirs are going. And that man is going to be getting some fat heals. This would be a really good Sleipnir here right here as well. Debuffing, Miasma Pestilence, providing a little bit of support to the entire army with the Children of Nurgle. Oh my god, the Sword of Khorne! I was about to say, this game's looking a little bit rough for Khorne, and then all of a sudden, 4 high-value units get absolutely pounded. That has got to be one of the biggest value Sword of Khornes we've had in quite some time. That was probably easily 1,500 value, if not more. And that is going to be routing the army here. Wow, what a turn of events right there. And now Khorne, incensed by the Bloodlust, is going to be charging up with Bloodletters and making a play for the back objective of the Warriors of Chaos, who, you know, just took a huge beating. I mean, all the recent summons were those Marauder Horsemen, and now they're all offline, and Khorne is going to be able to easily take that point. Talk about a power play right there. So looking at the battlefield, we do see Housecat of War creeping up to 1,100 points here, holding on to the back objective, but Khorne is probably going to be able to claim this one. Their Marauders going to get smashed by the dual weapon Marauders, who have that amazing damage output, and the bonus force infantry should be able to get through the shield. It's going to take a moment, but they will win that fight eventually. And they got Chaos Warriors moving up, Severed Claws basically on death's bed. Cultists of Khorne trying to get there, but it looks like he might get broken by the Severed Claw, but the Bloodletter should be able to finish the job that needs to be done. Fleshhounds coming across, side objective taken, Marauders and Horsemen and Bloodletters all doing pretty well. Miasma Pestilence going down, and oh hell yeah, another Chaos Knight. Oh, I love it. Chaos Knights of Khorne are so cool. So using a little bit of Khornate magic against its own people here. They're going to be trying to help out here. They're not Tzeentch Knights. Tzeentch Knights probably would be a little bit stronger, but overall these Chaos Knights will not be bad against some of the Chaff Infantry. We'll have to see. So here they come, going after Bloodletters. Bloodletters are debuffed pretty heavily, but it looks like the debuff is worn off. And if the Khorne Knights don't get their actual charge off, the Bloodletters will do pretty well against them because they have just good AP values in general. So you can see the Chaos Knights are starting to hemorrhage from models because they kind of got blocked up on their own units. They need to get the Marauders in combat against the Bloodletters and then get like a rear charge or a big flank or something like that. That's what you really, really want. So here comes the Chaos Knights. Looks like they're going to be engaging against these Bloodletters here, who are currently on fire. Granted, I don't think they care too much about that. A couple Horsemen to the back going to be diminishing their HP pretty quickly as well. They only have 35 armor, no form of missile resist except for the Physres they do have. More Horsemen coming back in, and it looks like Valkia has just had an absolute just razor focus on hunting down Festus this game. So old Festus probably going to be retreating to the tree line. He's at about 600 HP again, and I think he's going to be gone for now for sure. And that's going to be a pretty big leadership penalty to the very tattered Warriors of Chaos left on the battlefield. Most of the Warriors of Chaos you're seeing are not in the best shape. And the Khornate Warriors, or the Khornate Knights, looks like they might be going for a little bit of a backup here. Chasing down the Horsemen of Khorne. Getting a little bit of cap weight here, but now we have the big daddies coming out. The Minotaurs with great weapons will dominate those Chaos Knights super, super hard. They're not going to want any piece of that. So those Chaos Knights better run. Uh-oh, they're going to get charged by the Minotaurs. They did not see it. The Bloodlust of Khorne blinding them to their own demise as they start to retreat, taking massive casualties on impact with those Minotaurs. They're a little bit faster. They have 70 speed. Minotaurs, of course, have speed in the 50s. So with good micro, they should be able to get away. Maybe rear charge here. Housecat basically just has to Helm's Deep here, but I don't see that working out too well for him. Khorne does have a lot of forward momentum, and these Bloodletters are really, really in their natural habitat, really. There's no range units. There's no Mortis Engine. No efficient magic on the battlefield now that Festus is gone to nuke them down. So really, things are going to be looking pretty bleak. Granted, this rear charge here, not going to be bad at all. Those Bloodletters going to get folded up as the Khornate Knights do get a nice rear charge into their own people, and they do crumble the leadership. And this is why Bloodletters and like demon units in general are a little bit like weird. Like, yeah, they can be strong, But like he just took like 1,300 damage in a matter of a couple of seconds. That's like brutal, right? Like a lot of units would have the opportunity to break and run. Or undead units, for example, crumbling is exponentially slower than demonic instability. So it's a little bit tricky, and that's why I'm kind of advocating for cost reductions on bloodletters. And, you know, a lot of the demon units to make them more high-risk, high-reward units. But, you know, again, they'll be more cost-effective. Oh my god, the Mutilith Beast is brought back. The Beast of Burden. But currently, as it's looking, it looks like it's going to be pretty tight here. But I think that Puffin will win on just 2 objectives, especially if he manages to flip this one right here. And the Chaos Knights of Khorne pushed back. Muty Beast is going to be cool and all, but there's a full health Minotaur of Khorne out here. We do have Valky the Bloody, who's an excellent anti-large hunter character. Side objective being held by dual weapons, and it looks like some more Chaos Warriors and Marauders are going to be heading up from the back to try and play this point, and we'll have to see how this all unfolds. Yeah, looks like Valky is going to be hunting her prize here against the Muty Beast, and her anti-large bonus will sing into the sunset. Currently, she's sitting at 3,100 value. It's cool to see that, because Valky is a very balanced character. So when you see this value, you know it's just because the player is playing well and making good decisions. It's not like watching someone like Mother Ostankya, which can just be like left AFK and just get like 3k value, right? So pretty cool to see that. And the Muty Beast does take a little bit of damage, but also returns the favor against Valkia as well. But at this point, it's going to be very tough for Housecat. We do see Khorne pushing up, fending off the Warriors of Chaos. They don't have Festus. Most of their centerpieces have been lost. The Khorne Chaos Knights look cool, but I think the Tzeentch ones are the way to go for sure. I don't know how much value they got. Yeah, only 500. So having 2 Chaos Knights being held to like sub 700 value is going to be really painful. And really, the big catalyst for this game was the Mutilith Beast getting its butt kicked by the Bloodbrute and Valkia early. I think that cost Housecat the game. If Housecat was able to kind of protect it and just play more cautiously with it, I think it's pretty devastating against Khorne. Khorne can really struggle to deal with this. So now we do see the forces of Khorne starting to take over the game. Valkia going not quietly into the night. She does get killed by the Muty Beast, but takes quite a bit of HP off, going out on her shield, just how she would like to do. Bloodletter summons get called in, and it's basically point of no return now. And even if the Warriors of Chaos do manage to cheese this objective back with Festus and the Muty Beast, they're not going to have enough time. GG, well played. Awesome Khorne match. Really, really fun, man. We got to see the Blood Brute. We got to see Chaos Knights of all sorts of flavors. That was a fun one, so hopefully you enjoyed that. And looking at the Minotaurs and the Bloodletters, yeah, they did great. Got summoned a couple times, though. Blood Brute just about paid for itself. Valkia did great at 32. And despite like the horrific like engagements for the Muty Beast, its Mortis Engine in tandem with its great stats got it 2k value, which is nuts. But Tzeentch Knights did a little bit better than the Khorne ones. Makes sense. Magic damage surpasses a lot of the physical resist that Khorne demons would have. So GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. We'll be back with more replay soon, and you guys take care of yourselves.